Part 1. Captain Rex Morgan stood at the observation deck of the human vessel Defiance, watching the sprawling metal monstrosity that was Kepler's station rotate slowly against the star-filled void. 3 years. 3 long, bitter years since humanity had been forced into this corner of the galaxy, relegated to mining asteroids and scrapping derelict ships for survival. The Galactic Council had made their position crystal clear. Humans were nothing more than glorified janitors in their pristine universe. Still brooding, Captain? Lieutenant Sarah Kim approached, her boots clicking against the deck plating. Her voice carried a familiar edge of barely contained fury that had become the soundtrack of their exile. Rex turned, offering a grim smile that didn't reach his eyes. Just admiring our glorious accommodations, Lieutenant. Nothing says welcome to the galactic community, quite like being stuffed into the armpit of space with the other undesirables. The communication panel crackled to life, interrupting their bitter exchange. Admiral Chen's weathered face appeared on a holographic display, his expression darker than a black hole's event horizon. Morgan, get down to conference room 7. Now, and bring Kim with you. Sir, what's the... Questions later, Captain. Move. The connection severed with an electronic snap that seemed to echo through the suddenly oppressive silence of the observation deck. 20 minutes later, Rex and Sarah found themselves in the sterile white chamber that served as their briefing room. Admiral Chen paced behind a metal table like a caged predator, his hands clasped behind his back. 3 other officers sat rigid in their chairs. Commander Jake Torres, their chief engineer, Dr. Emma Voss, head of xenobiology, and Captain Lisa Park, their intelligence specialist. Gentlemen, ladies, Chen began, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. We have a problem. A big one. He activated the central hologram, and suddenly the room was filled with a 3-dimensional star map peppered with pulsing red dots. These are Korthak battle fleets, Chen continued, his finger tracing the advancing formations. 72 hours ago, they launched a coordinated assault on the Outer Rim colonies. Epsilon Prime, New Geneva, Horizon's End, all gone, billions dead. The silence that followed was deafening. Rex felt his blood turn to ice in his veins. The Galactic Council? Sarah asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. Radio silence, Chen spat. Those pompous, self-righteous peacocks are too busy debating proper diplomatic protocols to lift a finger. The Zeltharian High Command claims they're assessing the situation. The Arcturian Defense Force is reviewing strategic options. And the Vegan Collective? He laughed bitterly. They're holding emergency sessions to determine if intervention aligns with their precious non-aggression principles. Dr. Voss leaned forward, her pale face etched with concern. Admiral, the Korthak military technology is centuries ahead of anything we have. Their plasma cannons can vaporize our best shielding, and their hyperdrive capabilities are impressive, yes, Chen interrupted. But here's the thing, Doctor. While the Council has been treating us like second-class citizens, we've been busy, very busy. The hologram shifted, revealing technical schematics that made Rex's eyes widen. Sleek weapon designs, revolutionary propulsion systems, and defensive technologies that looked like they'd been pulled straight from humanity's wildest science fiction dreams. Project Prometheus. Chen announced with the satisfaction of a man holding 4 aces. 3 years of human ingenuity, fueled by spite and desperation. While the galaxy's elite were sipping their exotic cocktails and debating the finer points of interstellar etiquette, our best minds have been creating miracles. Commander Torres whistled low. Sir, these designs, how did we... Reverse-engineer Korthak technology from their raids, combined with good old-fashioned human creativity, Chen explained. Turns out, being forced to clean up everyone else's messes has its advantages. You learn things. You adapt. You get angry. Captain Park spoke up, her voice cautious. Admiral, sharing military technology with Council species is strictly forbidden under the Non-Proliferation Accords. If we what, Lisa? Chen's eyes blazed. Get expelled from their exclusive club? Lose our prestigious status as the galaxy's custodial staff. He slammed his fist on the table. The Korthak are 3 days out from the core worlds. When they arrive, your precious council will be nothing but radioactive dust. Rex studied the schematics more closely, his tactical mind already working through possibilities. What's the play, Admiral? Chen's smile was sharp enough to cut diamond. We're going to do something unprecedented in galactic history, Captain. We're going to give away our technological advantages. For free. The room erupted in shocked murmurs, but Chen raised his hand for silence. Every species that accepts our offer gets the complete Prometheus package. Weapons, shields, propulsion, everything. But there's a catch. His grin turned predatory. They have to use it, immediately, against the Korthak. Sarah's laugh was short and harsh. You want to turn the entire galaxy into our proxy army. I want to save the galaxy, Lieutenant. And if that requires showing these arrogant fools what human generosity looks like when it's weaponized, so be it. Dr. Voss frowned. The ethical implications are irrelevant. Chen cut her off. Ethics are a luxury for species that aren't facing extinction. Right now, we're fighting for survival. Ours and theirs, whether they realize it or not. Rex felt a cold smile tugging at his lips. When do we start? 6 hours, Chen replied. We're broadcasting on every frequency, every diplomatic channel, every emergency network in known space. The message is simple. Humanity is offering a gift to all free species. No strings attached, no payment required. Just the tools to defend themselves against annihilation. And when the Council inevitably objects, Park asked, let them. Chen shrugged. They'll be too busy not dying to file formal complaints. The next few hours passed in a blur of frantic activity. Technical teams worked around the clock to prepare data packages, while communications specialists crafted a message that would shake the foundations of galactic civilization. Rex found himself back on the observation deck as the first responses began trickling in. The Andromedan Syndicate had accepted immediately, their pragmatic nature overriding any political concerns. The Centauri Republic followed suit within the hour. Then the Rigel Confederacy. The dominoes were falling faster than anyone had anticipated. Sarah joined him, carrying 2 steaming cups of the acidic brew that passed for coffee in their corner space. The Zeltharian High Command just sent a priority message, she reported, unable to suppress her grin. They're deeply concerned about humanity's reckless distribution of advanced weaponry and demand we cease immediately. Let me guess, Rex replied, accepting the cup with a nod of thanks. They sent this from their flagship, which is currently retreating from the Korthak advance at maximum velocity. How did you know? Lucky guess. He took a sip of the terrible coffee and savored the irony. What about the vegans? Still debating the moral implications of accepting weapons from a primitive species, though I hear their debate stations are being evacuated as we speak. Rex watched another freighter launch from the station's docking bay, loaded with Prometheus technology bound for the Tau Ceti system. Each ship carried humanity's hopes and humanity's revenge in equal measure. You know, he mused, there's something beautifully poetic about this. For 3 years, they've treated us like children who couldn't be trusted with dangerous toys. Now they're begging for those same toys to save their lives. Sarah's expression darkened. Think they'll be grateful when this is over? Grateful? Rex's laugh was cold as vacuum. They'll be terrified. Today, they discover that the species they dismissed as harmless custodians has been developing weapons that make their best technology look like stone knives and bearskins. Tomorrow, they'll realize that humanity has just become the most influential power broker in galactic history. And the day after that, Rex's smile was razor-sharp. The day after that, the real fun begins. The communication panel chimed with an incoming priority transmission. Admiral Chen's face appeared, and for the first time in 3 years, he looked genuinely pleased. Ladies and gentlemen, he announced, I'm happy to report that Project Prometheus has exceeded all expectations. In the past 12 hours, we've distributed advanced military technology to 47 different species across 31 star systems. The Korthak advance is ground to a halt as their targets suddenly sprouted very sharp teeth. A cheer went up from the crew members gathered around nearby displays. But that's not the best part, Chen continued, his grin widening. The Galactic Council has just issued an emergency resolution declaring humanity an essential technological partner and granted us full voting rights in the Assembly. It seems our custodial status has been upgraded. Rex and Sarah exchanged looks of dark satisfaction. The galaxy had underestimated humanity's capacity for innovation, adaptation, and strategic thinking. More importantly, they had underestimated humanity's capacity for holding grudges. "Sir," Rex called out, "what are our orders regarding future technological sharing?" Chen's expression turned contemplative. "That, Captain Morgan, depends entirely on how nicely they ask, and whether they remember to say please." As the Defiance adjusted course toward the first battle zone, where human technology would meet Korthak aggression, Rex couldn't help but feel a sense of cosmic justice. The species that had relegated humanity to the galactic equivalent of janitors were about to discover that sometimes the help knows more about the house than the owners realize. The real question wasn't whether humanity would save the galaxy. The question was what price the galaxy would pay for salvation, and whether they would like the bill when it came due. Part 2. Captain Rex Morgan watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. 3 days had passed since humanity's technological gift had been distributed, and the results were nothing short of spectacular. Korthak assault fleet destroyed at Vegas 7, Lieutenant Sarah Kim announced, her voice carrying barely suppressed glee. The Andromedan Syndicate reports complete victory using our plasma torpedo designs. Enemy casualties, total. Allied casualties, 0. Commander Jake Torres looked up from his engineering station, shaking his head in amazement. "The efficiency ratings on our shield harmonics are off the charts, Captain. The Centauri Republic just repelled a dreadnought assault with ships half the size of what they were using before." Rex nodded, but his attention was focused on the broader strategic picture. The galaxy's power balance hadn't just shifted. It had been completely inverted. Species that had cowered before Korthak raids were now hunting their former predators across star systems. "Communication coming in from a Galactic Council chambers," Sarah reported, her tone suddenly formal. "It's Chancellor Vorthak himself." "Put him through," Rex replied, straightening his uniform. This was going to be interesting. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the imposing figure of Chancellor Vorthak, leader of the Galactic Council. His 6 eyes were narrowed with what Rex recognized as barely controlled panic, and his usually pristine ceremonial robes looked rumpled. "Captain Morgan," Vorthak began, his translator struggling to convey the stress in his alien voice. "The Council requires immediate clarification regarding humanity's recent actions." Rex kept his expression neutral. "Of course, Chancellor. How can I assist you?" "You distributed advanced military technology to 47 species without Council approval. This violates 17 different sections of the Galactic Accords." "Does it?" Rex asked innocently. "I was under the impression that the Council classified humanity as a non-voting member species. Surely that means we're not bound by voting member regulations." Vorthak's primary eyes twitched, a sign of extreme agitation in his species. "The technology you shared. Our preliminary analysis suggests it surpasses anything in our current arsenal by several centuries." "Flattering assessment, Chancellor," Rex replied with a slight smile, "though I'd argue it's more about application than raw advancement. Sometimes fresh perspectives can work wonders." Dr. Emma Voss stepped into view behind Rex, her expression professionally polite. "Chancellor Vorthak, I trust the Council has reviewed our complete technical specifications? I'm particularly curious about your thoughts on the quantum entanglement communication arrays." Vorthak's secondary eyes widened. "Quantum. You've achieved instantaneous communication across galactic distances." "Among other things," Voss replied casually, "the medical applications alone should revolutionize healthcare for most species. Though I suppose that's secondary to the current military crisis." The Chancellor's composure finally cracked. "Captain Morgan, the Council demands to know how humanity achieved these technological breakthroughs. Our intelligence suggests your species was centuries behind galactic standards just months ago." Rex's smile turned cold. "Intelligence? Is that what you call the reports that classified us as technologically primitive and suitable only for menial labor?" The same intelligence that suggested humanity posed no strategic threat to galactic stability. Captain. No, Chancellor. You want answers? Here's your answer. You were wrong. Catastrophically, embarrassingly wrong. While your council spent 3 years debating the proper classification of human toilet paper, we were learning, adapting, evolving. Sarah stepped forward, her voice dripping with mock concern. We're terribly sorry if our competence has caused administrative difficulties, Chancellor. Perhaps the Council should have conducted more thorough assessments before relegating an entire species to custodial duties. The transmission quality flickered as emergency alerts began blaring in the background on Vorthak's end. His aide, a nervous-looking Rigelian, whispered urgently in his ear. Chancellor, the aide's voice was barely audible. Urgent report from the Outer Rim. The human technology, it's not just defensive. 3 Korthak staging areas have been completely eliminated. The weapon systems are somehow adapting to enemy countermeasures in real time. Rex caught every word and his grin widened. Adaptive learning protocols, Chancellor. Another little innovation we developed during our time as galactic janitors. Funny how cleaning up everyone else's messes teaches you to be resourceful. Vorthak's 6 eyes were now focused entirely on Rex, and the captain could practically see the political calculations spinning behind them. Captain Morgan, the Council would like to formally request a comprehensive technological exchange agreement. Would you now? Rex leaned back in his chair, savoring the moment. That's an interesting proposal, Chancellor. Tell me, what exactly is the Council prepared to offer in exchange? Standard trade agreements, technology licensing fees, cultural exchange programs. No. The single word hung in the air like a death sentence. Vorthak's translators seemed to hiccup before repeating it. No. Rex stood, his posture radiating quiet authority. Chancellor, 3 days ago, humanity saved your precious galactic civilization from complete annihilation. We did this after 3 years of being treated as second-class citizens, relegated to the worst jobs in the worst corners of space. And now you want to negotiate standard trade agreements. Commander Torres piped up from his station. Captain, we're receiving priority transmissions from 17 different species. They're all requesting immediate diplomatic meetings to discuss enhanced cooperation frameworks. The Andromedan Syndicate is offering us a permanent seat on their War Council. The Centauri Republic wants to establish a joint research facility, Dr. Voss added, scanning her data pad. They're offering to fund it entirely and give us 70% of all resulting patents. Chancellor Vorthak's mandibles clicked rapidly, the alien equivalent of nervous stammering. Captain, surely we can reach a mutually beneficial arrangement. Oh, we can, Rex interrupted. But it won't be standard and it won't be cheap. You see, Chancellor, humanity has learned something important over the past 3 years. Respect isn't given, it's earned. And apparently it's also bought. Sarah consulted her tactical display. Captain, I'm showing Korthak fleet movements in 17 sectors. They're regrouping for a coordinated strike on the core worlds. How long do we have? Rex asked. 48 hours, maybe less. Rex turned back to the increasingly desperate Chancellor. Well, Vorthak, it looks like you have a decision to make. You can continue treating humanity as a junior partner while your civilization burns, or you can accept our terms for full technological cooperation. What are your terms? Vorthak's voice was barely above a whisper. Rex's smile was sharp enough to cut through battle armor. Full council membership with permanent voting rights. Immediate cessation of all discriminatory policies against human settlements. Reparations for 3 years of economic exploitation. And he paused for dramatic effect. A formal apology from the Council for the systematic underestimation of human capabilities. The alien leader's 6 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of extreme stress. The Council will never agree to those terms. Then the Council will face the Korthak with whatever technology they currently possess, Rex replied with a shrug. I hear their plasma shields are particularly impressive against primitive stone weapons. An alarm klaxon began wailing on Vorthak's end of the transmission. His aide returned, looking even more panicked than before. Chancellor, Emergency report from the Intelligence Division. The humans, they've been sharing information with every species that accepted their technology. Real-time tactical data, strategic analysis, battle coordination protocols. It's not just weapons. They've created a galactic military network with Earth at its center. Rex couldn't suppress his laugh. Oops, did we forget to mention that part? The technology packages include full integration with our command and control systems. Purely for efficiency purposes, you understand. Vorthak's primary eyes focused on Rex with something approaching fear. You've made humanity the de facto military commander of half the galaxy. Correction, Chancellor. We've made humanity the military commander of the half of the galaxy that wants to survive the next 48 hours. The other half is welcome to maintain their independence right up until the Korthak vaporize them. Captain Lisa Park appeared on an adjacent display, her face grim but determined. Captain Morgan, we're receiving confirmation from the front lines. The Korthak are adapting faster than anticipated. Their new offensive patterns are overwhelming individual species' defenses, but not coordinated defenses, Rex replied confidently. Torres, initiate Protocol 7 across all Allied networks. Aye, sir. Synchronizing defensive patterns now. Rex turned back to the increasingly desperate Chancellor. You have 12 hours to make your decision, Vorthak. Accept our terms, and humanity will coordinate the galactic defense against the Korthak assault. Refuse, and you're on your own. Captain, you're asking us to fundamentally restructure galactic civilization. I'm asking you survive. Rex cut him off. The restructuring is just a pleasant side effect. The transmission ended abruptly as another wave of alarms began sounding on Vorthak's end. Sarah shook her head in amazement. Think he'll agree? He doesn't have a choice, Rex replied, watching the tactical displays update with real-time battle data from across the galaxy. Pride is a luxury you can't afford when extinction is the alternative. Dr. Voss approached with a data pad full of technical readouts. Captain, the integration protocols are working beyond our projections. Every species using our technology is now part of a unified defense grid. We have real-time awareness of every Korthak movement from here to the galactic rim, and they have no idea, Torres added with satisfaction. The Korthak are still operating under the assumption that they're facing scattered, uncoordinated resistance. Rex nodded, but his mind was already moving to the next phase. Sarah, begin preparations for the final revelation. It's time our new allies learned exactly what they've signed up for. Sir, Rex's grin was positively predatory. They think they received advanced weapons from humanity. They have no idea they received something far more valuable. Membership in humanity's empire. They just don't know it yet. As reports continue flooding in from across the galaxy, Rex Morgan stood at the center of the greatest strategic deception in galactic history. Humanity hadn't just shared technology, they had shared control. And by the time their new allies realized the true nature of their gift, it would be far too late to return it. The galactic order hadn't just broken. It had been systematically replaced by something far more efficient, far more ruthless, and far more human. The galaxy would never be the same.